And good afternoon, race fans. Welcome to Box 3 Motorsports. My name is Adam Thursby, and we are here for Kyalami today. An extended race, more of an endurance. Our AM and rookie class drivers will be kicking off with a 45-minute race. Tire, fuel required. And then we'll jump over to the pro and silver split, where they will be running for 60 minutes. So I encourage y'all to stick around and catch all of the action here today. I do want to thank everybody for being here. Andreas is here. Cloverino's in the chat. It's great to see you guys. So we're just waiting for the server to come up here. We'll get right over to it. Talking to Ottens, he said it should be up here in just a moment. Looks like we should be good. I hope this works. And nobody changed it, but that's going to be a problem. I hope everyone has had themselves a fantastic week. Hope you guys, and a weekend as well. We were not here last week because of Father's Day and everything. So it's good to be back. Good to be back on stream. Good to be back with you guys once again as I get things set up. We're stuck in the car for right now. Let's pull that back real quick as we get things going here. Today without your beanie? Yeah, today without my beanie, because I hate to tell you, but it is about 85 plus, and it is or 32 C out today. So yeah, that's not gonna happen. I can tell you that. And shoot, something bad's gonna happen here real quick, but I'm gonna try and be quick about it. Let's jump over to our race camp real fast. There we go. That's better. I knew that was going to happen, and I should have been prepared for it, but I wasn't. Still always putting some things together, and welcome again, and guys. I'm so glad all of you are here. Let's take a look out on track. Davis returns this week. Lewis Ricard back on track in that just fantastic Dunkin' Donuts colored Porsche. Let me... We'll throw some times up there so we can see during this next 4.5 minutes of free practice, as our drivers get ready for today's, again, 45 minutes for these AM class drivers and rookie drivers. And you're going to notice some changes this week. You're going to notice some of our rookie class drivers are no longer on screen. As you can see, we only have 16 drivers so far today. And again, those rookies, some of them have been moved more to where they belong. You have to remember that class was specifically for drivers who were new to the league, maybe weren't able to complete the qualifying sessions prior to the beginning of the season. So you don't really know where to drop them. So we throw them into rookie. Now, Huff is in the chat. He can correct me, but I believe they carried over with any points they had from that rookie class into whatever class they were put into. I think we've seen some of those guys go up to pro and silver. And I know that's one of the things those guys were working out, is making sure they could keep their points and proceed to race. Points don't carry. Oh, I was wrong. There was no way to do that. That is a shame. But you know what? They get themselves classified. They're in a good split now, and hopefully when they return for season 4, they'll be able to do the qual, or, you know, it'll be pretty easy to tell that they fall right into that category. Lewis Ricard with the current fastest at a 143.2. And free practice is always a little slower than what we see during qual, so we will see if that carries over, or if going to take a little more. Somebody's going to take a little more off once qualification starts. Stephen Dunn out in the Bentley today, a 143.7, just about half a second off the pace. Onivaldo Shalengo returns. That very fancy Aston. Daniel Reinsch back in the Mercedes. Excellent livery, I have to say. I do like that. Your boy Blue is back, and he's back in his Bentley. Guys put so much work into their liveries. Simon Kuros Billet joining us today, I believe, for the first time. I don't recall seeing that name up on our screen before. Matthew Givens is back, however. Along with, in the pits still, Frank Reynolds. The Warthog returns as Alex Martin gets a few laps in. And we just saw the trouble a Honda can cause you right there as Josh Butler is back out on track. Bob Charlton as well. Kenny O'Connor back with us this week. Good number of Bentleys on track for in the AM class. I think we talked about that 2 weeks ago. We really don't have any in the pro and silver split, but we will see a good number of Bentleys in this amateur class racing. Terrell Seens Taylor returns. Nikolai Tsiabuk there sitting in the pits as well. And now Reed Aldred has joined in, giving us 17 drivers for today's race. We see there Stephen Dunn dropping that fastest lap down to a 142.9. So our first driver today to just break under that 143. And as we said, we'll see if those tighten up during the course of qualification. That's not going to get it there. That's not going to get it there at all. As we wait for qualifying to get started here, which as you see, time's run out. It'll be just a moment. Let's take a look at what is going on. Don't forget, PC ACC action continues right on into July. We're back next week for the Hungara Ring for sprint racing. See those AM and Pro Silver splits coming up. You can catch that right here. Zandvoort and Monza to finish out that season as we move through July. And we'll see where the championship lands. I am sad to say it's my fault. I did not prep the standings sheets for today because I got distracted and wasn't feeling well. So I'm sorry. I don't have standings up, but I'll make sure we have them there for next week. That's totally on me. If you are an ACC racer, but you do it over on console, we still run our Xbox GT3 League. Season 3 coming to an end July 2nd at Suzuka. They just ran Mount Panorama yesterday. By all accounts, the league had a really good race. Not a ton of problems out there, which is what we always look for. Is people keeping it calm, right? Out on track. I, again, get caught up at the end of the session here, flipping things around. Maybe you don't like ACC. Maybe you like iRacing. Then join us each week, except next week, of course, because we're not coming back till July 16th at Okayama in the MX-5s. But there's a reason there's no iRacing next week, and that's very simply our 6-hour endurance series continues in conjunction with Trackalicious and 949 Zandvoort, July 9th. And you're going to want to head over to twitch.tv/Trackalicious to make sure you catch that next Saturday. And if you like endurance racing, July 23rd, July is going to be a great month for you if you like endurance racing, because July 23rd, we are going to Barcelona for 12 hours. And here's the really cool part about this. And again, Huff will correct me if I'm wrong, but as far as I know, it is a full grid. 50 teams have signed up to participate in the 12 hours of Barcelona. So I would encourage each and every one of you to come on back here and watch that, because it's going to be fantastic. I love endurance races. It's more like an event than just the race. So come on back. It'll be awesome. 100% full grid for that 12-hour, and it's going to be a lot of fun. And I think most people know Barcelona, not one of the most forgiving tracks. So hopefully plenty of action during the course of that 12 hours. Terrell Scenes Taylor deciding he's going to stay in the pits along with your boy Blue during this 15-minute qualification as we catch up with Kenny O'Connor. So we'll start waiting for our first real times to start coming in as these guys start their flying laps. And then we will go and take a look at the delta they've run against their other time and see who's going to move up and who's going to move down. Plenty of time left in qualifying here today. Don't forget, we're 45 minutes at Kyalami after this qualifying session. Then head over and catch the Pro and Silver class drivers during qual. Well, on board with Lewis Ricard. There we have our first set lap for today, or our first, our first fastest set during qualifying, a 142.8. So Shalango, I don't believe Shalango during free practice broke under that 143, and here we see it already happening. Josh Butler in second right now with a 143.5. So a good bit off that pace as we wait for these guys to start tightening up their laps. 15 minutes, not a ton of time, so if you do need to make adjustments, you need to get a good flying lap in, hopefully not be in traffic, get back into the pits as quickly as possible so that you can then get back out and hopefully those adjustments have given you what you need to be a little faster. Stephen Dunn now with a 142.7 and flat. And with our top 10 set, let's take a look at our quality personal best delta and see who we might watch move up through the ranks here. We'll throw that personal best up there as well so you can kind of keep an eye on where folks might land as they start completing laps. Daniel Reinsch right now up 4/10. Cameraman on that part of the track in Kyalami has a huge issue keeping up. Now 7/10. There you go. Reinsch able to move up into third with that lap. Lango's cutting time as well, however. So is Stephen Dunn. Oh, that one's not going to help him, though. Your boy blew up half a second on his fastest, currently sitting in 8th. Ooh, now almost eight tenths up. He comes around the final corner. Gained him 1. Lets him get up there. Bob Charlton now running a good lap as well, outflying 7 tenths. And there we have a new fastest from Shalango at a 142.6. Able to bump Stephen Dunn by a tenth, a little less than a tenth. Looking how close those times are in our 142 range, it's going to be great to see what kind of battle we get up front today. You know, most of our action is always mid-pack. And you can see, obviously, the mid-pack guy's very tight in the 143s. If we look from, you know, it starts with number 4 and goes straps all the way down to P8 right now. And there goes Bob Charlton, not having a good lap. But these top 3 times right now, very, very tight. So hopefully we get some great battles. You know, the P1 and 2 thing, so easy to get spread out because whoever owns that first corner, right, whoever breaks the latest gets through that first corner, or in this case, I would say T2, really has clean air at that point for at least the entire, you know, one entire lap length. They're not going to catch anybody for several laps. So you really have that opportunity to run away with it. Today, unlike 2 weeks ago, pit strategy does come into play. You're going to undercut, overcut, etc. But tires and fuel, everybody's pit stops the same length, so it's how quickly you can get in and out if you have damage, etc. But when 2 and 3 are this close and can really drive this close, I think it provides a much more intense battle than what we normally would have for P1. And again, I say that only meaning that the P1, if they have opportunity to stretch out, then you're going to struggle to catch them. Kevin Silvares out today. I don't think we caught him up until this point. Rydian Davies is currently moving up through the ranks, sitting P7. Now 4 tenths up. Let's see if this one gets him anywhere. There we go, up into 5th. Lewis Rickard, though, not one to balk. He was doing well. Now dropping back down and not really too far ahead of his fastest. Now 4 drivers in that 142 range up front. Nikolai Tsibuk out on track now. We didn't see him do anything during free practice, now getting himself up into P12. Lewis Rickard again, 4 tenths up right now. Let's see if he can clear traffic, though, with a car in front. And that will cost him there. Looking to get clean air is just not going to work out on this lap. Late joiner NS Racing now in the pits. As we watch Ricard back it down there, give himself some air going into this next lap. We know, and he knows he has the time. Let's see if he's able to bring it in. Down through the kink and already 1/10 gained. Lewis already holding sector 1 as purple. And lost a lot of time through the second half of the circuit there. Was up at 1.4 tenths and just was unable to go ahead then and hold on to it. Daniel Reinsch now into the pits. Kevin Silvares back out. Kevin doing great today, getting himself into that top 5 if he's able to hold on to it. Roddy and Davis now into the pits as Josh Butler continues to lap, currently sitting in 8th, up 2 tenths and losing it right there. Scrubbing a ton of time off through that corner. New fastest lap right there. Chilengo beating his own time with a 1:42 and basically flat. Again, Onivaldo Chilengo continuing to stretch out his time. And amazingly, only holding purple in one sector. If we take a look and compare with Stephen Dunn, that's unbelievable to me. Able to do that. Louis Ricard holding purple in sector 1, and I apologize, Chilengo holding purple in sector 2 and 3. As our qualifying session comes to an end, our drivers start getting ready for today's 45-minute race. Onivaldo Chilengo holding pole position with Stephen Dunn, going to share row 1. Louis Rickard and Daniel Reinsch in row 2 with Kevin Silvares and NS Racing jumping up there at the end to get into row 3. That will set our grid for today, folks. Stay tuned because we're going to be right back for racing at Kyalami for the next 45 minutes for AM and rookie class split. Welcome everyone, and thank you for joining us today for round 3 of the 3rd season of PC ACC racing here at Box 3 Motorsports. My name is Adam Thursby, and I will be your host for today's race at Kyalami, located just outside of beautiful Johannesburg, South Africa. We will be joining our drivers as they contend with 16 turns during any given lap, including the kink, barbecue, and the S's. Built in 1961, the circuit has been host to Grand Prix and Superbike World Championship races throughout its history and served as the season finale of the 2019 Intercontinental GT Challenge. Our league has had some great moments on this circuit, including George Garton giving a nudge to Adon Neal in T14, Daniel Pickett driving up the inside of Will Green right in T1. And never forget Tobias Gable taking an outside line on Daniel Pickett in T13. But no doubt we will have plenty more exciting moments to add to the league's archive after today's AM Rookie and Pro Silver class races. Stay tuned for all the action right here Box3 Motorsports. Again, folks, thank you for joining me. My name is Adam Thursby. You're watching Box3 Motorsports. And we are ready for AM. Why are there lines? That's weird. Ready for AM and rookie class racing today at Kyalami. Onivado Shalengo there in pole position. Stephen Dunn with him in row 1. Louis Ricard in that Dunkin' Donuts Porsche, sharing row 2 with Daniel Reich. Kevin Silvares in a very fancy liveried Porsche, sharing row 3 with NS Racing. I know what's going on. Okay. Ryan Davis in the Lexus next to Simon Kuros-Bilo in row 4. Nikolai Tsiabuk and Mr. Ploop will share row 5 today. Bob Charlton, Josh Butler in row 6. Your boy Blue in his Bentley, sharing row 7 with Frank Reynolds, the Warthog, Reed Aldred, and Matthew Givens in row 8. While Kenny O'Connor, Terrell Seens-Taylor will share row 9, and Kevin Torrance, a late joiner, will make up the back of the pack. Again, thank y'all for being here today as we get ready for our first of 2 races to begin. At Kyalami. Never one of my favorites, but certainly a good circuit. I can wrap my head around it. It's just I probably haven't done it enough. Generally a decent circuit. It's got elevation changes, which is one of the things I always look for in a track. All those different kinds of things that make it a really nice circuit. Our countdown will begin here soon. And we will see if Chalengo can run with it right out the gate. Stephen Dunn right there, going to chase him down. But remember, the top 4 drivers here today, all in the sub 143 range, right? Again, it's not pro or am class. That's really not something that we usually will see. You get your top one, your top two in that lower second range, maybe your top three. But to have 4 drivers there, I'm hoping for some wonderful battles as we get this started today for the next 45 minutes. And we are off for our formation lap. And Rydian Davis and Josh Butler both into the pits for pit starts at the beginning of today's race. Dry track conditions today. Sunny 23C. Track temperature of 31 at 2 p.m. on track time today in South Africa. Again, Onavaldo Chalengo and Stephen Dunn going to take us out today and lead the charge downhill through T1 and then down into the kink. Great front pack today with Aston, Bentley, Porsche, Mercedes, all represented. McLaren sitting in the top 10 as well, a Ferrari, BMW. So a great mix of manufacturers at today's race. I don't think there's any one particular car that holds sway in the M-Class races like we talk about with some others we've seen. That BMW M4 shows up and everybody's running it. It finally gets a BOP, everything's set, and now we've spread back out, so. And there we go. We are green at Kyalami for 45 minutes. Downhill we go, and Stephen Dunn able to jump out to the front as we come down towards the kink. We're going deep into T1. But Dunn pulls it out. Shalango, Dave, and Daniel Reinsch now fighting, with Louis Ricard and Kevin Silvaris behind them. Dunn taking over immediately, and now Shalango losing position to Reinsch as well. Shalango, Louis Ricard, all right there. Nikolai Tsiabuk moving up through the field, taking up P7 to lose it again to below. We've got contact, but I don't see anybody off track there. Shalango now moving up into third and trading places with Ricard. And a bump there for sure. But somehow both drivers able to maintain some semblance of control. But now Rickard taking up P3 again. As we have problems towards the back, Mr. Ploop with contact on NS Racing. NS Racing having fallen way back now. Charlton pulling ahead of your boy Blue. And Blue taking it back. Reed Aldrich getting around both of them. Your boy Blue getting himself up into P10 right there as Shalengo is under pressure from Kevin Silvares for P4. But Blue and Aldred are going to continue to battle back here. A whole line of cars there keeping with them. Charlton, Scenes Taylor, and NS Racing all kind of keeping it tight through here. Blue now under direct pressure from Aldred. Terrell Scenes Taylor able to take position ahead of NS Racing and then has a problem and drops back with some minimal contact. Let's jump back up front because now Louis Ricard, he wanted P3, he got there, and now Shalengo is going to attempt to take it back. As O'Connor was battling with Taylor. Taylor now even further back again, having problems, but Nikolai Tiabuk pulling up into P6. So quite a start to today's AM class race here at Kyalami. Stephen Dunn able to get out to P1 commandingly over Shalengo right off the jump. Shalengo struggling down through the kink and ending up in P4 with Daniel Reinsch and Louis Ricard able to get around. Nikolai Tiabuk up into 6th place. Great start for him. Well, here's the thing, Evil Burrito. We do try to enforce real names. However, some folks aren't comfortable with that. And if they're not comfortable, that's okay. We can accommodate them. You know what I mean? It'll work. I get what you're saying, but at the same time, we make it work for everybody. Bring them all in. Let's jump back real quick, though. Matt Givens able to make the jump on Kenny O'Connor. Givens in the Audi making a pass. And there we saw right in the back, I'm sorry, not Kenny O'Connor. Kenny O'Connor getting blasted into that corner. And now dropping him all the way to last. Josh Butler now out of the pits and has picked up P17 due to some of the chaos. So we check in up front. Louis Ricard again, a little back and forth. We're playing the accordion around this track with Ricard and Shalengo. One of them's, they each have a different sector that they're better at. And we're now seeing that close down for Louis again as he looks to see on the inside and can't find the opening. Stephen Dunn now 1.3 over Reinsch. As back here, Blue and Bielot are going to continue to battle. Hard to keep up with all of them. And now Louis Ricard up on Daniel Reinsch. So Daniel now having to play defense, isn't going to be closing any gaps anytime soon. It looked like Shalengo had a little bit of trouble right there coming off the curb. But we talked about this during qualification. We got 4 drivers all setting sub 143s. Now our top 4, they're all very equally matched. And right now, the only advantage is that Dunn has clear track for the first half of this race. Once the back markers get into play, I think we could see some change up here. And Lewis Ricard off track. What happened here? Yeah, Lewis Ricard losing. Let's jump back and see if we caught it. Yep. Lost in the corner. Kevin Silvares now getting ahead of Chalango. If only for a moment. Chalango, one of our faster AM class drivers, so Kevin could have himself a lot of trouble today. Contact between Bilo and Blue, allowing Reed Aldred to move up. But we will keep our focus right now, right here, right now, as Chalango continues to look for opportunity. So less than 10 minutes gone thus far in today's race as O'Connor heads into the pits. Less than 10 minutes gone, and we have had some fantastic battles so far. And a lot of competition here. Blue and Davis in the back. Keep an eye back there as well. Blue's going to be under pressure from Friday and Davis. As Blue finds himself up on the back of Reed Aldred now. NS Racing possibly joining this fray. Chalango and Silvares have made contact. Let's rewind that real quick on Chalango. And yeah, a push on Silvares. Chalango, Silvares both losing position. Nikolai Tsiabuk suddenly finds himself in P3. Mr. Ploop dropping off to Silvares as Chalango comes out of that fray in P5. Yeah, but we're gonna go 3 wide. Why not? Mr. Ploop, Chalango, and Kevin Silvares. And Frank Reynolds says, hey, why not? I'll jump into this little party. Loop able to hold on for now, but we've watched Chalango apply that pressure. And unfortunately gives Silvares a push for his trouble. But we know where these guys qualified. I mean, we can look at it, right? Whoop. That's not what we want. There we go. We can see what's happening here. Chalango's down 5 spots from qual. Right? Qualled second. Or, I'm sorry, qualled first. So our fastest runner in qualification today is now behind Mr. Ploop, who's gained 5 positions. These guys do not have the same pace. Look at Nikolai Tsiabuk at this point, up 6 spots, and all he has done has kept himself out of trouble. Frank Reynolds now able to move up a spot as well. Now gaining 7 today as Blue takes Reed Aldred's position up. Let's jump back and take a look, though, because, again, these 3 keep coming back and forth at each other. Your boy Blue, Reed Aldred, and Rydian Davis. And Kevin Silvares into the pits. I can imagine he's had damage. We'll see what kind of pit time he gets. And Chalango now dropping off. As Mr. Ploop and Frank Reynolds are going to go side by side. Frank Reynolds moving up now into P5. Chalango having qualled this race first, now all the way back into 8th. Blue finding himself in the middle of a lot of battles today as he looks to get around Chalango on the inside. Not quite able to carry the speed, but makes the cut in. And Chalango going to go ahead and make use of the pits. Let's check in back up front. Now we got to go right back because, again, Blue under pressure from Davis. NS Racing now into the pits as well. And a push right there. Blue getting spun completely. Was that a push, or did Blue spin himself first? Nope, that was a ding. There you go. Now looking for any way he can to turn around and get out of the way. Luckily, no further incidents. So taking a look up front to see where we stand with just over 16 minutes left, or I'm sorry, 30 minutes left to go. Stephen Dunn continues to lead. Really, I mean, again, broke out off the line very quickly, got around, and was able to take up P1. Daniel Reinsch has moved into P2, and Nikolai Tiabuk, who again started well down from P3 for qualification today, having a great race, now sitting on a podium if he can hold on. However, Louis Ricard right there behind him, as you see in the Dunkin' Donuts Porsche. So, again, we talked about it. Depending on the pit stop strategy that each of these guys want to use, we could have some great battles throughout the rest of this race for a podium slot today. Oh, and Nikolai sliding out wide, allowing Lewis to pick up that podium position for now. Given everything we've seen so far, though, I think we'll see more changes. Frank Reynolds, Mr. Ploop trying to tighten up a little bit on Frank Reynolds. NS Racing now into the pits for quite some time. May not be back out. So looking at some of these pit times, I mean, Rydian Davis, 218 seconds in the pit, but still sitting P8 right now. It's not horrible. Josh Butler as well, 220 seconds in the pits. Obviously a lot of damage there, and sitting P14 for today's race. We check in on Matthew Givens, Bob Charlton, right there in the BMW. Our only Audi on track today. Matthew Givens at the wheel, currently sitting P10. Now, as we see here, Givens is continuing to tighten up on Reed Aldridge right there. Their last lap, and we'll wait for this one to come across now to see. There was a 3-second gap in their last lap to the negative for Aldred. And now, coming into it, come on, buddy. There you go. As you can see there, Matthew Givens still a good bit quicker at this point than Aldred. Aldred's about to start feeling a good bit of pressure if Givens can keep from needing to play defense against Charlton for just a little bit longer. Unfortunately, that's not going to happen now. Givens able to sneak in. It's interesting because those two drivers are very, very closely matched, right? We've got Givens on the last lap with a 144.4, Charlton with a 144.5. It's really Reed Aldred that needs to be concerned, because if these two stop battling, if one of them makes a clear victory out of it, they should have opportunity to go after Aldred before the end of this race. And we have a battle for P1 now. Good Lord, what did I miss? Because we were watching that. Let's jump back real quick. Focused on Stephen Dunn. Running out in front, Daniel Reinsch. Now Stephen Dunn dropping hard as he goes into the pits. A lot of damage. Hopefully our replay catches it here, as he heads off into the wall. And that will certainly do it. So Daniel Reinsch now taking up P1. Louis Ricard in P2. Nikolai Tiabuk has gotten himself back into that podium spot, as Givens and Charlton continue to battle back here. So Stephen Dunn, you know, from that rear angle, very hard to tell if there was a tap there as they headed downhill, but it appeared to me almost as if he had hardware issues. He just straight off into the wall. Yeah, Jet Drives, I'm saying the same thing. It did not look like contact, but that was a very bad angle on that camera, right? So it almost looks like he lagged out or had a hardware issue and just went off into the wall. So very, very curious. We'll see if he makes it back out of the pits. Current pit time already over 1 minute. Chalengo as well now. Yellow flagged, sitting off track, and currently in 19th. So Matthew Givens now getting a little bit of a reprieve, as Charlton will have to deal with blue before trying to take that position back. Looks like Chalengo has left the track and will not be finishing today's race. We'll see if others join. Again, Stephen Dunn still in the pits, now over a 2-minute pit time, as, oh, Charlton and Givens. So Matt Givens sneaking into this battle, and just Charlton able to catch up and is doing everything he can, but so far Givens able to hold on. It is now a 3-way battle for 8th. Givens right now just hoping these two continue to fight. Well, Jet, I wasn't going to say anything, but I was hoping you were getting a checkup. Lewis Ricard now into the pits. Frank Reynolds into the pits. Simon Curios-Billo into the pits. So our drivers now looking to clear that mandatory stop. So here's the curious one too. Ryan Davis has already been into the pits. You know, we talked earlier about coming out all the way back in P8, P9. Now finds himself in P4. And everyone in front of him has to make a pit stop. Nikolai Tsiabuk, Daniel Reinsch, Mr. Ploop, they all have yet to head into the pits. Undercut may very well have worked as we wait to see, again, our top three right now. Reinsch, Tsiabuk, and Ploop go into the pits and when they will do it. I gotta say, Davis, though, I think Davis had some damage. I mean, 218 seconds compared to like a Lewis Ricard who had 32 seconds in the pits, 35s. I mean, it's very easy to tell these guys that had damage. It's over 200, 200 seconds. And then the normal pit stop. Speaking of, Reinsch and Tsiabuk now into the pits at the same time. So let's jump in there because these guys both came in, as you see, about the same time. Reinsch already stopped, though. So more than likely going to be able to take off first. Mr. Ploop into the pits. So there we have it. Our top three now into the pits. And Ryan Davis is now your current race leader. We have been all over the place today. Matthew Givens now in P2 with Bob Charlton joining him. Again, neither of those guys into the pits yet, however. So they're both going to have to make those stops. Kevin Torrance in P7 right now will be in the same position. But right now, Kevin's worried about handling Lewis Ricard and goes way too wide, leaving that door open for him. As Reinsch now heads out, coming out behind Torrance and Ricard. Mr. Ploop with an not extremely long, but losing a ton of position, putting him back into P11 as he comes out of the pits. So Lewis Ricard now will should end up taking up P2 along with Daniel Reinsch in P3 when this is all said and done. But Kevin Torrance and Daniel Reinsch right now. Davis on controller, by the way. He's blowing it up. He is blowing it up today. That is for sure. Reinsch not quite able to get there, though. Stephen Dunn now, our once and former race leader, as Daniel able to get around. Stephen Dunn, again, our once and former race leader, now in P18 and has not left the pits. So again, curious about hardware issue, anything like that that could have cost him that first position. There he is. Ryan Davis, your current position 1 holder. His pit stop complete. And again, I find it amazing because his pit stop was 218 seconds. You have Lewis Ricard, who got in and out in 32 due to no damage. And still, Davis is leading this race, both of them having cleared their pit, or hopefully Davis cleared his pit. Maybe he did. Maybe it was just a damage pit. I would hope he didn't do that. Given it's a 45-minute race now, 18 minutes left to go, you know, I would hope that he went ahead and cleared that mandatory stop and didn't just repair. We won't know that till later, but so far, a great race for Righty and Davis. Rob 24K, what is going on? Thank you so much for being here today. How you been, sir? And Davis now with a commanding 15-second gap back to Givens, who, of course, Givens now into the pits along with Charlton, both heading in. So once things update, we'll be able to see kind of what the gap looks like between Davis and Rickard. There it is, 33.6 seconds. So let's take a look at this real quick and let's think about this for a minute. Let's pretend Davis does have to perform another pit stop, just for the sake of argument, okay? Well, Lewis Ricard's pit stop, total time, meaning in, pit, out, I believe was 32.3 seconds, if this thing's telling me the right thing. His stop time looks like 24.7. Doesn't make sense to me because tire change, it should have been 30 seconds, but let's just go with these numbers because that's what it's telling me. So that would mean with a 33.9 second gap, Davis could make that pit and get back out. We'll see if he's going to have to do it or not. Frank Reynolds now having to contend with Kevin Silvares. Oh, and Silvares hooking the curb. Regained control very quickly, but we'll see if it was fast enough to put the pressure back onto the Warthog. Oh, and there he is. Davis now into the pits. So let's keep eyes here and see if Lewis Ricard is able to take up that P1, or Daniel Reinsch for that matter, only 5 seconds back of Lewis's position. It doesn't look as though Davis is going to make it back out, though. And there it happened right there. Lewis Ricard now taking up P1. And Daniel Reinsch able to get around as well. Again, Davies spending a ton of time in the pits. Up over 50 seconds already. Now losing position to Nikolai Tsiabuk. And to Frank Reynolds and Kevin Silvares. As we have Reed Aldred now off track. And Matthew Givens taking up P8. Bob Charlton, your boy Blue, all moving themselves into the top 10. Davis now back out of the pits. A long pit stop, though. Total of right around 1 minute. So Reed Aldred now into the pits, giving up position to Kevin Torrance. As I said, Givens, Charlton, and Blue all moving into the top 10 as our drivers have now pretty well spread out. Lewis Ricard with that same about 5.5 second gap back to Daniel Reinsch, and then Nikolai Tsiabuk about 6 seconds off that pace. Taking another quick look at the position deltas for today's race. Nikolai Tsiabuk 6 spots up to get into that podium slot. Frank Reynolds, though, 10 positions gained during the course of today's race. You see Stephen Dunn there still in the pits, lost 16 today. Certainly a shame. As Reed Aldred continues to sit in the pits as well now, with Kenny O'Connor and Terrell Seens-Taylor having a bit of a battle back here. Kevin Silvares, even Steven, right there, qualified 5th, holds on to 5th so far today. But given some of the carnage we've seen, I think he should be happy. Maybe you know, at least be okay with that result, right? Another one, Reed Aldred, into the pits and now dropping spots, but really a shame because as you see, he was up a good number of positions on today's race, and those are all getting wiped out right now. But as we look at this list, really, Frank Reynolds, Matthew Givens, today's big winners. Throw Kevin Torrance in there as well. 7 spots gained during the course of this race. Even Nikolai Tsibuk, I gotta say, it just kept himself out of trouble. Gained 5 spots, 8th to 3rd. Really can't complain, and had a really good race today so far. Just over 13 minutes left to go. Don't forget, folks, stick around after this. The Pro and Silver class split is coming. That'll be 60 minutes right here at Kyalami. And all the action will be brought to you right here at Box 3 Motorsports. Don't forget to, if you're enjoying this season of ACC racing, we are back next week at the Hungaroring for a standard 30 and 45 minute race depending upon split. So that'll be our sprint race, or yeah, depending on split, and that'll be our sprint races. Also, if you're a console gamer, season 3 is wrapping up. We're actually going to be launching a casual GT4 series, and then myself and Mr. Fife have already had these conversations about season 4 for the rest of the summer with Xbox. So if you are on an Xbox and you want to race ACC, come on over and we will be more than happy to have you joining us. Kevin Silvares now looking to tighten up on Frank Reynolds as we take a look at everything iRacing. We're doing that too. Okayama, not next week. We're skipping next week, and there's a reason. There's a reason, and I'll get to that in a moment. But Okayama in 2 weeks in the MX-5s. Let's go. It's a lot of fun racing those. It's kind of casual at this point. Not a lot of huff there. We're hoping to expand it, obviously. So if you're into iRacing, come join us. And the reason we're skipping next week, 6-hour endurance series returns over at twitch.tv/Trackalicious, July 9th, Zandvoort, in conjunction with Trackalicious and 949 Motorsports. And as we said, if you like endurance racing, July 23rd, 12 hours at Barcelona, and we have an absolute full grid for that race. 50 teams will be out on track for that 12-hour. Figure most teams, not all of them, some drive it by themselves, some have 2. I would say on average, teams are going to have 3 drivers. We're bringing together 150 sim racers for 12 hours straight at Barcelona on July 23rd, as Lewis Ricard sets a new fastest lap for today's race of a 1:42.6. Reynolds doing a great job keeping Silvares at bay so far. Silvares not giving up this close to the end of the race. Less than 10 minutes now to go. Pushing on Frank Reynolds to get into P4. Porsche versus Porsche here, right down to the wire. Kevin Torrance now coming under pressure from Josh Butler as well. Butler looking at last and fastest laps for both these guys. Butler easily with the pace if he can find the gap. And there is able to skirt around the outside. Taking up P11. Frank Reynolds showing contact there. Evan Silvares holding strong. I don't see anyone off track. Matthew Givens and Bob Charlton tightening up again. We've seen these guys battle several times throughout this race. Charlton about a second faster on the last lap than Givens. And also about a half a second faster as their each of their fastest laps today. You throw that comparison up. Charlton might bit quicker there. However, Givens didn't gain 8 spots today by slouching. He has done a great job defending with that Audi during the course of today's race. And now both of them going to have to contend with Boy Blue coming up from behind. He may get involved in this as we continue to watch the Frank Reynolds, Kevin Silvares battle towards the front. As we said, folks, don't forget, we will be jumping over to that pro race already in progress as soon as this finishes in the next 6 minutes. And when I say already in progress, I mean qualifying should be in progress at that time. So we will catch up with them during qualification and then get right into the race today. And again, if you enjoy sim racing, you like what you're seeing today, and you think you want to participate, exclamation point box in the chat. We'll get you over to our Discord. Come join us. Box3 Motorsports is the community that puts community first and sim racing second. We want folks to have a good time so they can have a good time for a long time. And Jet Drives is talking about his kinks in chat. You can look for stuff like that to happen as well. Matthew Givens able to push on Charlton now. We knew we were going to see these guys battle. Givens leaving the door open, but able to get some speed with that Audi that Charlton just can't quite keep up with. And once again, Frank Reynolds and Kevin Silvares. The Porsches are going to fight right to the end. Nikolai Seabrook showing a yellow flag for a moment. Still putting a gap back to Reynolds, but it is closing up there. He must have slipped off track. Back to Charlton, it was getting juicy. It is getting juicy again now because boy Blue has tightened up on him. Givens having slipped back as we were watching the battle between Reynolds and Silvares. But now Charlton will have to contend with Blue. And that looks like Butler as a back mark, if I'm not mistaken, in that Honda. Could be wrong. Sorry, Terrell Seens Taylor in the Honda, and did everything he could to get out of the way. I'd argue that actually he, skipping into the grass like that tends to make it a little more dangerous. Again, Charlton up 3 spots today. The P8. Got to jump up here though. This gets tightened up very quickly. We'll jump back to Charlton and Blue in just a moment. But Reynolds not allowing Silvares any sort of opportunity. Both these guys very consistent. Reynolds' fastest lap today, 1:43.695. Kevin Silvares with a 1:43.647. So Silvares a little bit faster in a fastest lap, but nope. And there goes Kevin Silvares. Let's jump back and take a look. We couldn't catch him. He was off camera. Let's see what happened. And another curb claims another victim here at Kyalami today. Kevin Silvares dropping back now, keeping 5th, but Ryan Davis right there as well. So we'll see if those two tighten up. But what that does do is Blue, Charlton, Givens have all moved around at this point. Blue bringing up P8. Givens in 9th and Charlton sitting in 10th. That battle is over. They have spread way out. Just 30 seconds left to go. 25 laps down today. Louis Ricard, your current race leader, and most likely going to stay there with a 9-second gap back to Daniel Reinsch. Nikolai Tsiabuk bringing up P3 right now as we look to close this race out today. Let's jump in with Davis and Mr. Ploop. Go on board with Davis here towards the end of this race. As he heads uphill for what should be the last time. And there it is. After a very hard-fought race, Louis Ricard is your winner today at Kyalami. Daniel Reinsch heading in to take up P2. And like I said, I think someone who had a great race today, kept himself completely out of trouble. Nikolai Tsiabuk will finish off your podium for this AM class racing at Kyalami. Great job of these todays. Again, Frank Reynolds bringing up P4. As we watch Kevin Silvares come across. Ryan Davies right behind him. Mr. Ploop comes in, and your boy Blue holding on to P8 right now. I like the pop in on the smoke. It's fantastic. Matthew Givens brings himself across the line with Bob Charlton following close behind. And there is your top 10. A lot of bumping and grinding today at Kyalami. But, you know, it happens. It happens. All right, folks, I'm going to ask y'all to just give me 1 second here. We are going to jump over to our pro class race and get ready. Pro and silver class racing today. As we do that, I have to close things up. It's weird. Our pro and silver split, already in progress. There we have it. Let's get started at Kyalami. Oh, I did a thing again. I shouldn't have done it. Stop doing that thing. There we go. Now we're stopped doing it. John Tracy in the Honda. Tracy? In the Honda? Yeah, that's him. John Tracy right there returns to us with just over 8 minutes left in qualifying. And with that said, I am going to take a quick step away as you guys watch qualifying. Need to use the facilities, need to take a little break. So stick around for pro and silver class racing at Kyalami here at Box 3 Motorsports. All right, folks, we are back, and you're right. Checkers champion Brian Canopin. Is back with us. We take a look at some of our times here. Tobias Gable right now with a 140.4. Brian Canopin with a Wally ban this week as he has moved over from the Audi to the Lamborghini. So car swaps mean for the next race, there is a qualification ban for that driver. They said good to see him back. John Tracy back out in his Honda. Hasn't been around for a while, so great to see him back out on track with us today. Tobias Gable leading right now in that Audi. Daniel Pickett returns in the Pink Pig Porsche. John Gray back out in another Porsche as well. Remco Otten's back on track today. Porsche. Wilson Fernandez returns. George Garton back with us. Gasolina, there's one of your drivers, folks, right there who was in that rookie class for the last 2 to 3 weeks. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if he made all those races or not. But as you see, now running in our pro class. So those rookies are only there for as long as they need to be. And at some point, they're going to have to be slotted into a proper class. And as you see, Gaz has moved right in. Adam Thomas is back with us. Another Audi on track today. Brian Anderson in a very coppery Lamborghini. Matt Comiskey back in his BMW. Jet, are you asking why Foursquare champion Brian Canopin has gone to the Lamborghini? I really don't know. I just know I got a message from him this morning saying, here's the livery, deal with it. And I was very upset because he was no longer in the Audi. I almost didn't load his livery specifically because he was no longer in the Audi. Christoph Arts is back with us. As you can see, I am still missing liveries this week too. There are people no longer uploading them. It's a shame. Charlie Booth back on track. Another Porsche out there. Don't ask how I've improved my personal best by 4/10. I don't know, sir, but you are sitting up there for free practice, or at the end of qualifying. I completely forgot we missed free practice for this. Here I am thinking we're still in practice, but no, Tobias Gable is currently sitting P1 for the start of today's race. See, there's several drivers not setting laps today. Christoph Arts, Brian Canopin, and Christopher McNichol. Otten's only 200ths off of Gray's pace, so we'll wait and see here if he is able to tighten that up at all. And not going to happen today for Mr. Ottens. As we switch it out and get ready for today's race. Pro Silver Class Split kicks off here in just a few minutes, ladies and gentlemen. One hour of racing today for 19 drivers. As they get set to start off Kyalami, round 3. Catch it all right here. We'll be right back. Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining us today for round 3 of the 3rd season of ACC racing here at Box3 Motorsports. My name is Adam Thursby, and I will be your host for today's race at Kyalami, located just outside of beautiful Johannesburg, South Africa. We will be joining our drivers as they contend with 16 turns during any given lap, including the kink, barbecue, and the S's. Built in 1961, the circuit has been host to Grand Prix and Superbike World Championship races throughout its history, and served as the season finale of the 2019 Intercontinental GT Challenge. Our league has had some great moments on this circuit, including George Garton giving a nudge to Adon Neal in T14, Daniel Pickett driving up the inside of Will Green right in T1. And never forget Tobias Gable taking an outside line on Daniel Pickett in T13. But no doubt we will have plenty more exciting moments to add to the league's archive after today's AM Rookie and Pro Silver class races. Stay tuned for all the action right here, Box3 Motorsports. And there you have it, folks. Our drivers are on track, ready for the start of today's 60-minute race at Kyalami. If I can get this thing moving, which it doesn't seem to want to do because I slowed it way down. Let's get set for today's race. There he is right up front. Tobias Gable in P1. Going to lead out with Daniel Pickett in that beautiful pink Porsche. John Gray, Remco Ottens in row 2. Wilson Fernandez and George Garton bringing up row 3. Gasolina and Adam Thomas will share row 4 to start today's race. Charlie Booth and Retro Coffin in row 10. Brian Anderson and Matt Comiskey will make up row 6. I think I was drunk doing this. Artem Kudasov and David Soul in row 7. Row 8 today. Armand Petrovits and Christoph Arts. And as we come down towards the end again with Quali Band, Brian Canopin, Christopher McNichol, and John Tracy bringing up the rear. And great to see all these guys back on track after so long. Some of them haven't been here for a while and now join us once again. Not our usual group of front runners today. We have to be serious about that. Tobias Gable, a very fast driver, very consistent driver. Every time we see him race. Daniel Pickett, same thing. Certainly someone who's very, very consistent, much quicker than I am on track, I can say that. However, we don't normally see these guys qual in P1 and 2. We've got our Brian Canopins up there. We've got our Christoph Artz's. So these quali bands are really tossing things around a little bit this week, and it's going to be very curious to see what kind of pressure is applied to Tobias and Pickett in that front row, not just against each other, but by some of these other drivers who are right behind them, and they're going to have to play a lot of defense throughout the course of this race. We get set with our warm-up lap today. I have to admit, other than Tobias up front, it is a front field just dominated by Porsche this week. A lot of drivers flipping over that new Porsche, and apparently liking it because they are sticking with it. Well, further back, Retro Coffin bringing up P10 today during qual. Don't forget, we'll be watching this position delta during the course of today's race to see where folks end up compared to that qualification. There's Mr. Crow himself. Pickup sticks legend, Brian Canopin. As we drop back now into double file. Joined now by the man himself. The guy we watched jump all the way up from what, 13 to 8th during the AM class race. Your boy Blue is here.
Yeah, I had a pretty good time. This track is painful, but it's fun. It's really, really fun. And these guys, these are the creme de la creme, you know?
Well, so we're going to find out because we're about to get a green flag. And there it goes. We're green at Kyalami again today as we hammer downhill through T1 and come down on the kink. Tobias Gable just blowing out the doors on anybody around him. The Porsches cannot contend with the speed of that Audi coming down that straight. And Tobias gets a huge jump as we watch the Audis, or I'm sorry, as we watch a whole bunch of folks start going sideways, and it is pandemonium.
Rewind. Otten's doing a little door banging, and he gives it right back. That BMW. Wow.
Let's jump back.
Big crash.
Well, we're going to jump back 30 seconds. I know we're probably missing more, but this crash was unbelievable. If we try and focus on some of these guys that got hung up on, like Kudasov, I'm showing with contact. Let's try and keep focus right here. It's hard sometimes, but actually started a little bit ahead, and then everybody piled into it. Unbelievable. So we're going to see pit stops real soon, aren't we?
real early, and it's an hour-and-a-half race. So
Hour.
I guess
It's an hour. It's not an hour and a half.
Sorry, an hour.
You're killing me,
race.
Smalls. You about scared me to death. I got to cook dinner tonight.
I was adding an extra half hour for these guys, but that's what's going to happen in the pits, I guess, is an extra half hour for these guys.
Yeah,
but,
I think for some of them.
In an hour race, the main goal is to just survive. And kudos to TG for getting out ahead, and great start. I was hearing some chatter in the paddock. His engineers were really working on that start. They really wanted to get ahead because he knows that their whole team knows that they have some really, really fast guys that just happen to be in the back of the pack. So strategy's gonna be mucho importante.
Yeah, it's gonna be something we're gonna have to watch. I mean, John Tracy and Brian Canopin right now having a battle back here.
And that NSX that Tracy has, they got that here in a couple weeks. They put that car together, and he is just flying. That Lambo coming out of retirement.
Right.
Brian dusted that, put a little turtle wax on there, and it's flying again. So it'll be interesting to see what he can do in the Lambo. He's got a little car ADHD, Brian. So we'll
likes
see.
to jump around.
He likes to jump around. Jump around. Get down.
Yeah. Yep, 100%. But Artem Kudasov was under pressure from Charlie Booth. Now he's backed off a little bit. But Retro Coffin and Brian Anderson back here.
That's going to get nice and confusing, eh?
Yeah, just a tad.
Where's our other Anderson? Are we missing the...
I think we might be,
McLaren? Yeah. It's kind of interesting. A little sub.
A lot of back starts today, and now Brian Canopin already moving up into 14th, having just gotten around Armins Petrovich. But Christoph Artz starting towards the back as well, now contending with Christopher McNichol. It's going to be really... I'm wondering if this race is going to become the Crow Show. Are we going to watch him climb last? I mean, he didn't start dead last, but still, you know what I mean?
17th. I mean, that's pretty last for Crow. I mean, we see him. He's a top row guy.
Yeah.
Every race he's a top row guy. He's got loads of experience, which is going to help him here. And Artz is no slouch. And McNichol, I've watched him race. He's also incredibly quick as he's trying to do some moves here. I think there's some mental warfare going on Artz.
A little bit. And Artz does have damage as well, so
I think he was tangled up in some a
little bit of the trouble there.
T1. Can you share your screen, by the way?
Sure.
Because I'm behind you. Because I'm watching stream.
Yeah. Give me 1 second.
Yeah, Christoph Artz. I was racing with his teammate or his Hungarian buddy Matthew Givens, and they're fast. I call them the hungry hippos. they munch minutes, man. And McNichol's gonna.
And we got a push right there. Artz just getting slapped right off track with a door bang from McNichol.
Yeah, that's aggressive. And
that was
the
a
winner here is
huge door bang, though.
Yeah,
just baps him right out of the way.
Brian, because Brian's going to take advantage.
Yep, and now he's
so
looking.
John.
Brian coming after McNichol now. Crow up the inside, and here's the thing: is John Tracy? I think John Tracy is going to be the follower today. He seems to just be taking Crow's line and looking, wherever Crow goes, he's going to follow him and try to exploit the same gap. And so far, it's working for him because he just got around McNichol, keeping to the inside behind Crow.
Yeah, the thing for McNichol here is, can he maybe put a little pressure on John? John hasn't raced in a couple weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Again, dusting off a brand new NSX. He was really fast in practice. We were watching him earlier this week, and there's a lot of jive around that garage there, but I don't know if he's just going to sit there and follow Crow. It's going to be kind of a boring race for him, but we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, but if it drags you,
Australian born, yeah.
I don't know if following Canopin around drags you from where you started from last all the way up to the top 10. Is that? I mean, that's not that boring, right?
Yeah, I mean, he's just, I don't know, it's kind of like one of those little fish that sticks to sharks.
Yeah, lamprey. Is that a lamprey?
Yeah, a little lamprey action.
Whatever works
John
for you, right?
Lamprey Tracy.
I'd
Change
do
his
it.
Discord name right now.
John Gray now under pressure from Wilson Fernandez. Our Porsches have maintained their positions, though, still in 2, 3, and 4.
Yeah, and you take a look at that train right there. That's what's fun about Kyalami is there's a lot of places where guys can really come together. And man, this is a pretty fun battle. With this a 6-way,
Pretty much, yeah. Fernandez, Gasolina, Thomas, and Kudasov all right there lined up behind each other. So it's going to take one error from somebody towards the front, and we're going to see a ton of positions change.
And Gasolina is no slouch in that Bentley. It's a big V8 engine in there, and he's going to really, I think he's going to try to be a little aggressive, but he may just wait for that Mercedes to make a mistake himself and pounce on it. But then you got an Audi and then another, I think there's another Porsche right behind them. So Porsche's a good track here.
Charlie Booth and Charlie Booth and Retro Coffin both back there. Now we're going to look up front though. Ottens and Pickett coming together, so we're going to keep eyes up there. Fernandez and Gasolina are the battle back here right now as these guys continue to follow each other.
Those big front engine cars, they're fun to watch for sure.
Thomas and Kudasov, the Audis of Thomas and Kudasov right there with these guys. Let's jump up here though, because Pickett and Ottens keep tightening up.
They just really gotta try to find that base for that Audi of TG.
He's running right now.
Either, so it's kind of weird.
Yeah, already 4 seconds out that gap. I mean, he's given himself at this point. He's just playing buffer so that he can, have plenty of time on his pit stop. And if we look, Brian Canopin, let's go back to Charlie Booth because Brian Canopin has just gotten around Retro Coffin as these guys stack up.
Wow.
Brian Canopin started this race in 17th, is already into 10th.
Have we put ballasts on his car yet, or we maybe thought about that?
Yeah, not yet. Yeah. But he did lose his lamprey. John Tracy's still now back in 13th. But this is another battle, right? We got Charlie Booth, Canopin, Anderson, Coffin, Tracy, and McNichol all following each other around this track right now.
I am appreciating the Australian and Kiwi battle between. I'm really hoping that those guys get together. They're good buddies, so it would be kind of fun if they decided to battle. But
Booth and Tracy.
Booth and Tracy. I think in all honesty, Booth has just gotta. I was gonna say he's got to defend. Just really try super hard, maybe try to outbrake Canopin, and everything I'm saying is going incredibly wrong.
Listen, but here's the thing: if you're Charlie, which for anyone in the chat, it's palm tree oil. If I'm Booth, now granted, I'm not fast like his. I mean, Booth is a pretty speedy driver, right?
Yeah, coming from console too.
Yeah, like coming out of Xbox into PC, he's doing really well so far. If I'm Booth though, and I have, Tiddlywinks champion Brian Canopin coming up behind me, I'm probably just gonna open that door and let him by. I can fight somebody else who I know isn't just gonna pressure me into making the mistake that ends my race, right?
But imagine the clout, as the kids say, of saying, "Hey, I held up ring toss legend Brian Canopin." Ooh, contact.
I see these guys hitting in the back. Yep, Tracy and Coffin.
Yeah, Tracy. Hondas do make lawnmowers, but I don't think that's what this one's designed to do. No blades on that one.
McNichol able to get clear around Tracy, and Petrovic's getting ahead of Retro Coffin now. Matt Comiskey, his race is over in the pits, -2 laps. I don't think we will see him back out today. But Tobias Gable has opened it up, currently running out front by 4.3 seconds over Daniel Pickett, Remco Ottens, John Gray, and Wilson Fernandez in your top 5. TG just crushing today here at Kyalami. And as you said, this isn't NURB, right? This isn't the Nürburgring. That's where you see TG really blow up because it's like his home track. I think the guy lives within 20 miles of the place or something like that.
Yeah,
and
he knows when pebbles change over, he's like, oh, yep, I took a picture of that one. Yep.
Exactly. So, I mean, it's understandable. Kyalami, not a home track. He doesn't live in South Africa. And here we go. We're getting some action here, though. John Gray, Wilson Fernandez, and Gasolina. Fernandez just barely able to hold on to position. Gasolina coming downhill right behind Gray now.
And Fernandez is going to be careful. He's not going to try to make contact, as I almost just commentary jinx. That Bentley there, that's Gasolina, correct?
Yes.
That red and white, yeah. So, and he's got he's got pace, man. He knows that car inside and out, and it's fun to watch him.
Yeah.
Raced against him, and it's fun.
So again, now we got John Gray leading this pack, one of our front leading Porsches, with Fernandez, Gasolina, and Adam Thomas. Oh, and we got a pile up there with Fernandez.
Fernandez gets away kind of clean there.
Let's back that up real quick. He does the initial push.
Just a little nudge.
He gets nudged in the back, but is able to maintain control and just blows out. Gasolina losing a ton of positions, now back into P13.
I feel like we're going to hear from race control about that incident.
Yeah, well, we probably should.
Though.
John Gray giving up, getting his position back from Fernandez. But here's the trouble. These guys obviously need to battle it out and worry about each other. But again, ring toss legend Brian Canopin now into P6 right behind these guys.
You know, he's really good at that little like duck shooting game,
Mm-hmm.
like where you have to like aim the water right into the little target.
Oh,
no. You know, it's
so you're Carnival Barker legend, esports. Brian Canopin.
Yeah, he's shown me all the giant overstuffed teddy bears that he's won.
Okay.
And he's like, "Do you want one?" And I was like, "No, absolutely not. I have no room. I have no need for that." He's like, "Well, I have like 20, so yeah."
I just can't not
really
win. Oh, there comes a point when it's time to stop playing the game, right? When you win all the time, like don't you just get bored?
He told me that he travels from state fair to state fair, just absolutely blowing carnival games away. It's pretty nuts. Fernandez gets by clean right there.
Right there, yeah.
As we're trash talking Canopin, and
Canopin sneaking through too.
Peasy. Oh man.
Actually, well, side by side. I mean, we're trading paint back here, but Canopin able to get around as well. Now John Gray going to have to contend with Thomas and Kudasov. John Tracy continues his climb, currently up into P11, a little further back.
Yep, he's going to be battling with McNichol. I think this whole race, those two NSXs are they're going to be attached at the hip, sort of. And is there damage on Canopin's Lambo there? I think he's gotten out pretty scot-free. Thomas is the one that.
Thomas has some damage right now. We got two Audis. The Audis of Thomas and Kudasov now going to go to battle. And
Booth not far off.
Yep, I was going to say Palm Tree is right there waiting to take advantage.
And this that back straight, and you can really get a lot of timing advantage if you brake properly.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't know a thing about that, but I know that these guys, they know what to do. And yeah, Thomas definitely gonna fix that.
Thomas into the pits. Nope, into the pits. So Thomas into the pits. Pickett and Otten's tightening up on each other once again, as we've seen before. And now Brian Canopin in fifth, pushing on Fernandez.
I think he's going to try to just eat Fernandez for breakfast here, but I think Fernandez has really got to make it more difficult for him, and he's not going to. Oh, there we go. Fernandez just trying to push that Mercedes, really try to block the line that Crow wants to take. He's going to have to work really
Crow's got a
hard.
huge amount of speed heading downhill, though.
And he knows exactly where to go.
Bang, a door bang. Oh, man, that's a rough one. Good save on Fernandez, but a little bit of a door bang. Just to give you an idea, though, let's throw it up on screen real quick to show people. Brian Canopin currently holding fastest lap with a 140.897. The closest competitor thus far is Tobias Gable, currently leading our race with a 141.5. So almost a full second back. It's going to be hard for Crow not to catch these guys, including Pickett, Ottens, and Gable.
And he's just hauling. He's, he arrived to the track early. He did a couple track walks beforehand, and that's when he was like, "Yeah, I think we're gonna go with the Lambo for this week and for the rest of the season." Sounded like so. He's excited about this track to debut that car, I guess, this season. It takes a lot of gusto and moxie and balls.
Well, it takes something. I mean, it's a lot to say when somebody can switch cars that easily and be that fast. You know what I mean? It's most people pick a car and that's what they drive, right? You might dabble in other things. I know, like you're in the Bentley now. Weren't you in something else in previous seasons?
Lexus, but kind of
okay.
the same thing, just on a different side of the car.
Well, but still, I mean, it's still different, slightly different handling, right? Slightly different everything.
And so
he
gets it.
That's what I'm saying. Like
really quick.
He's one of those guys that just locks it in and can switch cars and be like, okay, I'm going to drive this now.
This is now officially turned into a Brian Canapin just ego stroke. As we watch Charlie Booth try to hold off McNichol, who's also really fast and can hop into anything that he wants. But I think Charlie or Palmtree, he got passed by
his buddy already. Yeah, John Tracy.
Ocean,
currently sitting in 8th.
And that lamprey idea did work. Follow where Brian was going to go. It did become effective. Now, at this point, do you think guys are thinking it's an hour race? Like, we pushed for the first couple laps. Let's kind of maybe take it easy. I highly doubt it.
No.
I think a lot of these guys have that hyper-aggressive mentality.
Mm-hmm.
They want to try to make up as many positions as possible. But I don't know. I think there comes to a point where you're in an hour race. You may want to think about strategery, but I highly doubt that's going through their heads.
Well, and I mean, look, we're at 42 minutes left to go. You have to assume, I mean, I know we don't run a pit window for this. These guys can jump in any time. However, most of them are going to start pitting around the 35-minute mark to the 25-minute mark. It's that bottom half of, that bottom third of the hour, or, fourth, whatever it is, that is where we're going to start seeing those pit stops. So where I get curious is, again, now Remco Otten's pulling up on the back end of Pickett. These two are fighting. Meanwhile, Canapin has cut the gap from 11 seconds down to 9 so far.
Oh, this guy again.
What guy?
Brian.
Oh, well, I'm just... But can you not? You got someone is faster. You have someone who will frequently dominate, starting from the back of the pack, and has already put himself into P4.
Now, who's in this Valentino Rossi Audi? Because he is he's listing off part numbers inside that Porsche gearbox. Like
Kudasov, John Gray, Artem Kudasov, and now John Tracy joining the party back here.
Yeah, gotta be a little careful as far as like opening that door in that little hairpin, because as soon as you open that up, a good driver, an aggressive driver, like we're seeing right now, is going to take advantage of that. And I think the Audi's going to squeak out just a little bit. But
John Tracy. John Tracy going deep into the corner, though. That might have been contact. And the worst is Charlie Booth and Christopher McNichol right behind him, battling as well.
Oh, no, he got the curb.
Oh. So John, yep.
The loser there is Palmtree, is Charlie Booth.
Yep.
Tries to take that inside line to get it back, but yeah, that's a doozy. That curb sucks.
We saw that during the M class race. There were several, and I want to say Porsches that tossed themselves into that curb, and it was all over. There was nothing. Know what I mean? Nobody was going to save them. So
yeah, that was an Audi. I mean, once you go over that thing, it's like you're sitting there praying to every single god that you could possibly think of that you don't crash. But
and a slide.
Tokyo drift action.
Whoa.
Oh no! Yikes!
And a bad push. McNichol falling back 2 positions to Charlie Booth and Artem Kudasov.
And Kudasov got contact, but didn't go anywhere.
Yeah, he was kind of planted. We did lose John Tracy back to the pits. So Tracy into the pits now has cleared that stop. Let's check on our friends.
Damage too.
Ottens and Pickett.
These little pigs are getting spicy.
I keep trying to watch up here because, again, it stretches out to a second and 2/10 gap between them. And then Ottens just tightens it. He reels Pickett back in, and it's like Pickett, I don't know. It's almost like someone branded the back of that pig Porsche, and he just takes off a squealing because he opens the gap back up afterwards.
I think, in all honesty, Remco is really good at the nitty-gritty portion, but Pickett gets really good exits, and he really can dial in, especially like some long sweeping.
Gotcha.
In that bag, that sector 3 there, and then Remco tightens it up in those twisty, turny sections of I think it's sector 2. So I could be wrong. I could be way off. It could be the opposite end. But
no. Well, here's the thing about Pickett is I really want to see. I mean, Pickett currently running in second. I honestly am rooting for Daniel Pickett right now. And the reason for that is not because he's my favorite.
Bias.
Well, no, it's not because he's my favorite. It's not because I think he's a fantastic driver, which he is. He's again, much better than me. I think he is a good driver. I'm rooting for him because it seems like every week Pickett is in one of those cars that somebody ends up planting a foot up his ass. Right? Like repeatedly. And all he's trying to do is drive, and it's something that's not his fault, and he ends up getting hammered all the time.
I saw it in season 1 and season 2. Him and I came together in Nürburgring one time. So
exactly. So to see him right now being successful and getting left alone and getting to battle someone like Ottens, who we know is very clean. I mean, Ottens, like anyone else, can make a mistake, but is a normally very clean driver. Hopefully Pickett's got the confidence to hold that gap and just keep doing what he's doing. And I think he can be very successful today. Now, that said, our buddy, Mr. Canopin, has now closed the gap.
It's really funny. It's honestly like watching Darth Vader come through.
4 seconds now. We're down to 4-second gap. So,
that frame that was up was really funny because it was, we saw Pickett, we saw Remco, and then we saw Coffin, and then out of the very bottom corner of the screen is this
just
matte black and orange come through, and it's honestly like seeing Darth Vader.
Yep.
And you're just like, oh my God, here he comes. Here he's gonna force choke someone into making a mistake. And I think for Coffin, he's gonna have to really, really tidy up his lines and.
Well, Coffin the back marker, right? Is he gonna try and hold Canopin back at all? Though he's a back marker.
He's currently blue flag. Okay.
Nope. Canopin's in P4, so he's gonna have to open that door, or at least not play defense at all, right? So and let him by at some point. The question. Oh, exactly. Yeah, don't worry about it. I get the same way sometimes. The question's gonna be is how patient will Brian be? Because here's the thing: if you're me, I'll let you by because I know you're faster and I have to. I'm the blue flag. But I'm going to do it in my good time, which means where I feel comfortable. So you putting pressure on me doesn't help any situation whatsoever, as he just opens it right up for him.
I called it that there was no. I'm not sure if Coffin took that line on purpose. He may have, probably, but I think in all honesty, Brian saw the opening and it was there and took it. And that corner, if you go too wide, there's a guy that can squeak in that. That inside line and take it from you. So I think when we get to some racing, we got to take care of that.
And we got a car off track right there and teleported back to the pits. Look, I think Armand's Petrovics, I believe. Or possibly Adam Thomas, who is now sitting in the pits.
For Thomas, because he was in those battles, he was in the nitty-gritty, and then just 2 really bad shunts.
Kudasov able to get around. Yep, Kudasov able to get clear of Charlie Booth. And Charlie doing a little, like you said, a little mowing.
I think there was a little Dale Earnhardt inspiration there, a little pass on the grass kind of deal.
You know what I'm going to do is I'm going to save the replay of this race and this moment right here, but I'm going to go with the actually, you know what I'm going to do is go with I believe it's this one. Yeah. I'm going to go with this view from Remco Ottens, and I'm going to put the Jaws theme over it. Yep.
I think Brian would probably appreciate that. I prefer.
That'll work too. Either one. I mean, we can do both and see which one gets more updoots or whatever it is people go for.
He'd probably appreciate Ottens with the big send. That was an aggressive move.
Almost,
he does not want to be the guy.
Quite.
He doesn't want to be the guy caught by Brian. That's for sure.
The problem is their battle is slowly because they've got to fight each other. Now, Brian's got all the time in the world to just keep tightening this up and tightening this up and tightening this up. Now, knowing Brian, he's going to go for the challenge, right? He wants to attack these two and make the pass because that's his personality. He wants to race.
He wants to win.
But here's the thing. But hold on. There's other ways to do that, though, because why not go pit? I don't get hung up behind him, right? I get my pit stop over with, and I'm back out on track and ready to go for the rest of this race, right? Pull an undercut, in and out of the pits, quick adventure, off you go back on track, and you don't have to deal with these two. But that's what I'm saying is I think he wants the fight, and he's going to stay out until either they leave or he absolutely has to pit. It's going to be a matter of who wants to pit first.
Yeah, the fun part would be is I know that these guys, they're probably sitting in a little voice comm together, against paddock approval, and I bet you anything Brian may try to sneak in I think I'm gonna pit now, and then watch these two go in, and then he just blazes right past him and ends up pitting later, and he's really trying to.
He is looking for that gap.
Of Remco Ottens. Yeah, can you tell me what diameter the exhaust tubing is on the back of that Porsche, Brian?
Give him a second.
I think you're close enough. Get a set of calipers in there if you could. He's hauling, and it takes that a little wide. The last couple times he's taken that inside line because there's been a car going on the outside. So let's see if that gives him any sort of slingshot, quote-unquote slingshot advantage into this. This sector right here is so much fun. That I call it a semi-straight. It's not really a straight, but it's just so much fun.
That downhill swing?
Yeah.
Yep.
And then, of course, you get to that big yellow curb that takes.
And there he goes, canoping into the pits.
Going in. Okay.
So see, that's what I'm very surprised by that, because, like I said, I think he loves the challenge, and I mean, and who knows? Maybe he just said, you know what, this is my pit strategy. Well, yeah, exactly. But I'm just thinking, maybe, for all I know, this was just his pit strategy. So he said, the hell with it, I'm going to head on in because that's what I was going to do anyway. But now we see he basically didn't want to play with these two. He said, look, I could have this fight for the next 15 minutes or what have you, but why don't I just pit out? I'll come back out. I'll have clean air. Everybody will be a back marker to me, and I just work my way back up.
Clean air, fresh tires. And I'm getting a report from pit lane here that the team actually pulled him in. Brian didn't want to. Brian wanted to stay out, but the team had actually pulled him in. Apparently something going off a little wrong with the car, and they figured that they might as well save it now and then come back out later. So interesting development.
So I will say that you were not wrong earlier, right, when you said that they are all sitting in a voice chat together. And I can tell you that the legend himself, Brian Canopin, Daniel Pickett, and Remco Ottens are all in that same VC, right? Mm-hmm. What are the chances if you're Canopin, you're just sitting there messing with their heads? Like, you just get up behind him, and you're like, hey, Otter. Boo.
Yeah. He does that to me all the time.
Little bit of a nudge there.
Little Tokyo Drift action. Yeah, they were getting close, and these guys, they're friendly, but I think when it comes to racing, they want to really try, and we see.
Oh, and there we go. Pickett now into the pits. Tobias Gable into the pits as well. So Gable and Pickett both heading in. Remco Ottens electing to stay out for at least one more lap. And
Ottens had a rough and tumble time practice this week. Like you said, with Brian, did a couple track walks with Brian himself. But he just hasn't felt super confident in Kyalami. So having him come out and really perform in qualifying, and then really perform now and battling Pickett and almost battling TG, I guess, is actually pretty cool to see. You're rooting for Pickett. I'm rooting for Ottens.
Well, I'm rooting for Pickett to have a clean race and place podium. That's, you know what I mean? Like, I just want him to be able to get a clean race in instead of being everybody's punching bag.
I'm rooting for Ottens to not take anybody out.
There you go.
I'm rooting for him to do that. So essentially the same thing, but I've seen Ottens pull a Miley Cyrus wrecking ball a couple times. So
this is curious. So check this out. Look at our list right now. Look at our list of driver. You can't. Okay. Well, I'm going to give it to you because here's the thing. Tobias Gable has gone into the pits and come back out. Currently in P7. Now behind him are Armins Petrovics and David Sold, neither of whom have had their pit stop yet, right? Behind that, Brian Canopin. Behind that, Daniel Pickett. So meaning Canopin got in and out faster than Pickett got in and out by about 3 seconds, if I'm reading this right. And that put him now ahead of Daniel Pickett by 4.6 seconds at this point. So all things being equal, let's pretend everybody's pit stop goes as planned. That's going to put Otten's possibly in second when this happens. What the hell just happened?
I don't know. You tell me.
Yeah, the thing went weird. I don't know what's going on with it. It'll fix itself in a minute. So that should put Otten's coming out of the pits in second, with Brian Canopin now in third ahead of Daniel Pickett.
So currently right now what you're telling me is that we have a potential Otten's, Canopin, Pickett podium.
No. Gable, no. When this all flips, Gable will still be in first.
You gotta remember, I went to public school, so
I know.
is not good.
What we're looking at is, I think what we're looking at is Gable, Otten's, Canopin, 1, 2, 3. Once Otten's clears his pit, I think, and we'll have to see. You know, I don't know how far back Canopin is here to really know. And he just picked up another spot into P7 off of David Soul. And will soon be up on the back end of Armin's Petrovic. So, John Tracy just destroyed. Wow. Wow.
Sorry, I don't mean to laugh. I hope John's
okay.
I
think that's hilarious.
But I know that I think that's going to be a lot of work for the crew in that Honda garage to fix that. And Otten's coming in.
So there we go. Let's see.
This was his call too. The team did not call him in. This was his call to come in.
Well, let's see where he lands as far as coming out of the pits. And again, obviously John Gray,
if your
Booth, Gasolina.
Man kind of math works out here.
We got to see if Gable gets around him, but Canopin doesn't. With only a 6.3 second gap between those two at this point, though, Otten's could come out in third. So let's keep the focus here. I want to see kind of where this lands. We'll try and catch who goes by.
Nothing is more thrilling than watching a pit stop.
Well, we're not really watching a pit stop. With no
people. And there's no... It would be kind of cool if they showed the guys going around, but...
Let's check in with Gable. So here comes Gable now. So Gable's going to jump up very quickly. Okay, back into P1. Is Otten's moving yet? Otten's just left his pit stand, and Brian Canopin out ahead.
Oh.
So Brian Canopin able to clear and get himself into second, now 6.4 seconds back from Tobias Gable. So that strategy, that undercut absolutely worked, got him around Otten's and Pickett without the fight. Armin's Petrovic is still there in third, but he has yet to pit, so that'll clear that out for Otten's to come back in third, and Pickett about a second off that gap right now.
So,
and if somebody didn't clip that John Tracy wall hammer, I'm going to be very upset. Someone should have clipped that.
I'm getting reports from that Honda garage of Tracy that there was total brake failure, and it was something that they had to clear up. And wow, that's pretty scary. But John is okay. The medical car cleared him.
Excellent.
And we're back to racing. So yeah, that's scary moment, especially in that big long straight, and you don't have anything there to stop you. Spooky.
Yeah, it's John, so yeah, it's very spooky.
Very spooky.
So throughout the course of these pit stops, we see Brian Canopin up into second, getting around Otten's and Pickett, who we saw him trailing before and battling with, wanting to take it to. And Otten's the winner of the pit stop battle, now coming out a second ahead of Pickett. So those two trading spots. This is why I love when we have pit stops in races instead of just a straight run.
Yeah, it does. It adds that extra layer of you got to be fast, but you also have to be smart as far as your pit stops go, which is why I suck in these kinds of races, because I can't figure out strategy. These guys all figure out strategy. We also have the field has really shrunk since we started. We've got a couple retirees.
Yeah, we've had we had some huge incidents. We had some folks sitting in the pits, but I don't know why these guys leave. You're still collecting points.
Yeah.
Of course, I left a race last Saturday, so what am I talking about?
Adam, I think he's broken clutch, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
His Audi just totally failed on him after a couple of incidences, so that one sucks. And do we still have good old Palm Tree in here?
We do.
No.
Yep.
Oh, he is?
P11 right now.
I'm looking for Palm. I'm looking for Palm Tree.
Yeah, Charlie Booth,
P11.
P11 in his very fancy Porsche. 205 seconds back from John Gray, but still going to pick up a P11 finish and some points. Tobias Gable holding his own against ring toss legend Brian Canopin, because that gap really hasn't shrunk. And in fact, kind of extended a little out to about 4.6 to 4.8 seconds. So Tobias having a really steady race today.
And he's got to chalk it up to the strategists in his garage, in that Audi, and that launch. That initial start was huge for him. YUGE, huge for Tobias. And you know, he's got great racecraft. He knows how to drive. I think if he gets the right start and the right car and track combo, it's all over for Mr. TG.
100%.
And
Remco Ottens now going after Petrovics, which, here's the thing. If you're Petrovics, why are you even defending? You still have to pit.
I think we're going to see him give Ottens the spot here.
Possibly, but he's been holding on tight to it so far. And again, I get fighting for position. Pickett looking to the inside on Ottens. Wow, there he goes wide. Lets them both by, but now this battle allowed Pickett, and Pickett just dinging the back seat, the back corner, and there it is.
Tokyo drift moment for Ottens.
Ottens trying to get out of the way as well.
Yeah, a little unsafe as far as that goes.
Well, Petrovics is coming around the corner. Where's he going to go? I think Ottens was trying to get himself off track as quickly as he could.
So he didn't get labeled.
Yeah, and Pickett now picking up P3.
Back there.
Yeah.
Oh, it was not. I thought it was Darth Vader.
Oh, no. Darth Bryan?
Yeah, Darth Bryan. There he is, Darth Bryan.
There he is.
The black car really fits, too.
He's brought that gap down about a second now, so 3.8 we are down to.
So we were talking about
22
TG
minutes.
Racing really well. How well can he race, you know?
Well, here's the thing. Okay, so we saw that gap open up a little bit. Their last laps are literally identical.
Wow.
141.867. They are identical laps.
That's a kudos to TG, because one of these guys did esports, one of these guys didn't. So
yeah, right there it is.
Figure out which one and you win a prize, I guess.
And again, we've crossed the line now. TG a little slower, 1:4.15 on that last lap. But here's the tell. Brian Canopin right now holding purple for the track during this race, 140.862. Gable, 141.45.
There's your gap.
Right, so there's your gap. Is we can look at the last lap of every time. And even there, Tobias a little bit faster on the last lap by about 0.3 of a second. However, the overall, I mean, we look at that best, that's a huge gap between best laps. And I'm wondering, with over 20 minutes left to go here, if Canopin isn't going to be able to reel that in.
More than likely. Good, clean laps. He doesn't have anyone in front of him. His only target right now is TG. I say that Brian's going to turn on the hyper aggressive mode, put those aviator shades on, turn on the Top Gun Maverick soundtrack, and go for it.
Yeah, but he'd be better using Danger Zone from the original. There you go. We don't need. Everybody knows it.
Copyright strike.
Blue. Everybody knows it. We don't need it. I promise.
Are you sure? I mean,
who sings that song? Do you even know who sings that song?
It's I almost said Kenny Loggins, but it's Kenny Rogers.
Oh my God.
Is it not?
Are you serious right now?
Did I get it backwards?
Does the guy who sang The Gambler?
I've been listening to The Gambler.
Does the guy who sang The Gambler sound like the same guy that would sing Danger Zone?
They look. I mean, they look really similar.
That's not. No, that's not what I asked. Do they sound similar?
Oh Jesus, Lord in heaven,
okay.
Help us. TG is gonna run through the kink here as we get back to talking about racing. Not my obscure lack of '80s knowledge of music. You're just dating yourself at this point.
I know.
It's okay. It's all right.
So Remco Ottens, after that incident, now looking to get around Petrovics, who again still has not gone into the pits at this point, but does seem to be giving up that position. However, Otten's now 6 seconds back from Daniel Pickett running in third. So let's see if Otten's is going to be able to tighten this up at all. I mean, even with 19 minutes left to go, that's a long haul to make up 6 seconds.
Yeah, and I mean, like you said, 19 to 20 minutes. I think Otten's is a little from that bump that Pickett gave him, and I have an odd reason to believe there's going to be a coming together in the paddock after that, because that was a little bit of a dickish move. So up 9 spots.
And right there, McNichol off track. John Gray jumping into P9 now after McNichol knocks himself off the wall. Let's take a look at that real quick. If we talk about position delta, Brian Canopin up 15 spots during the course of this race. But to be fair, so far, and we'll see where it lands, because again, he's literally the only driver who has not yet pitted. Petrovic's up 10. So he has gained today. Kudasov up 6 and McNichol up 8. And there goes McNichol sliding again. Obviously some frustration building in that car right now. Charlie Booth able to get around. Charlie Booth.
I think he got a little much of that curb and just couldn't really recover. And I think as soon as you try to accelerate on that curb, especially, you're kind of SOL. But good little Tokyo drift moment for him. Can't really knock him because he did save the car. It could have been a lot worse. He could have ran into Palm Tree or potentially ran into the wall. So that's the nice part about Kyalami, is that there is a lot of space in case you do mess up in certain portions of the track.
Nope, for sure. So McNichol, even with the trouble we're seeing him have right now, up 7 spots today. So having a relatively decent race. I mean, that's not horrible, right?
He's got a couple weeks off too. So yeah, he's really pushed that NSX to the max here at Kyalami, and it's a good track for it too. So now I'm going to break your heart, Adam. I do have to depart. I've got to go play some Frozen Water Sports.
You're going to go play. You're going to play hockey ball. Is that?
Yep. You go watch a bunch of guys on knife shoes fight over the last Oreo. So.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, hey, listen, Blue, thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate you being here, man. We will finish out this race with not quite as much gusto as you provide when you're here, but I will do my best.
I'll try to get you paddock reports on the fly.
Sounds good, man. Good luck at hockey.
See you
later. That was your boy Blue. I thank him for joining me. Always fun to have him around. He's a good dude. We saw him in our AM class race today. Did a really good job today. We check in on Kudasov. Again, Petrovic still having not gone into the pits today. All of our other drivers clear. As this race starts to wind down and things have spread out a little bit, let's take a quick look. Don't forget, we are back next week at the Hungaro Ring, and that will be a 30-minute for our AM rookie class and a 45-minute pro and silver class. Also, in those 30 and 45-minute races, pit stops get a little bit crazier because it's fuel only, and there is a 10-minute pit window halfway through the race. So it always makes it a little curious there. ACC racing continues on console, though. Box 3 Motorsports Xbox GT3 League Season 3 continues with our finale of Season 3, Suzuka, for a 2-hour endurance race on July 2nd, coming up for you next weekend. And yeah, iRacing continues on July 16th at Okayama in the Mazda MX-5 Cup cars. A ton of fun in this. If you're an iRacing fan, come join us. We have an absolute blast with those races. I unfortunately was unable to make it yesterday, and I was really sad I missed it. But I am hoping that by the time that Okayama race comes around, we're actually going to broadcast them. That'll be a lot of fun. But if you wonder why we're not having an iRacing race next Saturday, well, it's because, again, Zandvoort, July 9th, 6-hour endurance in conjunction with Trackalicious Sim Racing and 949 Motorsports. You're going to head over to twitch.tv/Trackalicious to catch all of that action. As we jump up front here real quick, and don't forget, one more endurance race to talk about before we get back to it. Barcelona, July 23rd, 12 hours. 10 a.m. UTC, 6 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. We have a full 50 team paddock. It's full. It's done. It's full. Like, literally, there are going to be 50 cars on track during that race. So make sure you come back July 23rd. You'll be able to catch that right here at Box 3 Motorsports. And as I said, we needed to jump in here because now the gap between Gable and Canopin is down to just under 1.5 seconds. And now Fernandez has caught up to Petrovic's. So Merc versus Merc. I'm really waiting to see when Petrovic's is going to head into the pits. I mean, he seems to know. It seems as though he knows he has to pit, because you see right there, he just opened that wide, and we saw him do it for Pickett and Ottens as well. So, speaking of who, the Porsches are back. So this battle that we saw end in a tap last time from Daniel Pickett into Remco Ottens, we will now see what's going to happen here. Does Pickett find space to let him by because he took the position from him? I don't know. It's an awful long time ago to still be doing handbacks. Gap between Gable and Canopin now down to 1 second with 13 minutes left to go in this pro class race today. And let's jump back up here. And Tobias Gable into the wall as Brian Canopin gets there and jumps up into first. Let's jump that back real quick. It only takes one mistake. Gable going wide through the corner. And the front of that Audi is in a world of hurt now. And it looks like Tobias may end up having to limp it back to the pits. Pickett quickly closing in under 9 seconds. Yeah, Tobias, that Audi is very, very damaged. Gable doing everything he can to carry it back without having to teleport, where he will lose a ton of time. Ottens and Pickett now coming around. Tobias Gable into the pits. Ignore what you see on your screen. Brian Canopin, that currently our race leader, as we see there. Gable in the pits, was able to make it back, but Pickett and Ottens now battling out for third, possibly second. We've seen that curb hook all day today. These guys have got to watch coming off that very quick right-hander. As Daniel Pickett and Remco Ottens now get around Tobias Gable. So Will Fernandez now with an opportunity to gain a position as well. And the Pickett-Ottens battle becomes a battle for second to finish this race as Petrovics and Fernandez both get around Gable. Ton of damage there on Gable's car. Kudasov clearing him. Gasolina already in the pits for over a minute. Oh, and TG did end up having to teleport back to the pits, hence the tremendous amount of time being lost sitting there. But we have focus until the end of this race. Right now, 10 minutes left to go as Daniel Pickett uses his pink pig Porsche to keep Remco Ottens at bay. TG having a great run today. Such a shame to see him lose control right there. Overall, a highly consistent race. I mean, I'm looking at his lap times, you know, where he was sitting in the solid 141s within 3 to 4 tenths of each other every lap around this track. And it just shows that consistency And so to lose that on that single mistake is such a shame. We would have had a great battle lined up with Brian had that not happened. Instead, we'll watch the Porsches. Daniel Pickett, Remco Ottens. Uh-oh. Brian Canopin is now parked on the side of the track. Still 18 seconds back to Daniel Pickett, so he should be all right, but Brian Canopin on the side of the track. As Tobias in our chat says, no need to go out again. He will remain in the pits for the remainder of this race. Quite a shame, man. I gotta say. Pickett Naughton's come around for one more lap here. 7.5 minutes left in today's race. A lot of action. Ton of action. Ton of incidents. Well, not a ton. Pretty brutal up front when we got started here today, though. And there, Armand Petrovic's into the pits, giving up position to Kudasov, Gasolina so far. Finally getting in and making that pit stop. With, again, just about 7 minutes left to go. As Pickett Naughton's look to keep it very, very interesting all the way to the end. And a little warble from Pickett there. Is Otten's going to be able to sneak by? Not quite. Oh, and a slide there. Otten's able to just kick right through that. Hold on a second. Let's jump back real quick. Looks like Pickett went just too deep, and Ottens is able to come around on the inside and take it from him just like that. Excellent move right there on behalf of Remco Ottens, taking up P2. Now Ottens gets to spend the next 6 minutes playing defense back here. The gap up to Brian Canopin now opened up to 22 seconds. And it's not hard to understand why. While Ottens and Pickett have best lap times of today's race in the 141, 142 range. Very close, about 4/10 off each other. Pickett looking towards that inside line. Just not quite there. As I was saying, though, you know, again, 141, 142, about a 4/10 gap in their best laps. Their last laps, both 144s. Brian Canopin's a 141 flat. So a 3-second gap there, you know, makes it easy to understand why that gap continues to open up between Canopin and Ottens. Never mind that these two have been playing battle with each other the entire last half of this race, and it's going to slow you down. Otten's pushing at this point, though. You can see the back end of that Porsche just wants to cut loose some kind of way. So far, it's working for him, right? So far, it's working up to a 2-second gap now back to Pickett. But at what cost if he throws the back end of that car out in one of these very high-speed corners? Otten's getting clean air out there. He's able to open up just enough over Pickett to make himself feel comfortable, I'm sure. John Gray currently sitting in P7 with Charlie Booth, aka Palm Tree Oil, tightening up the gap there down to just about 1 second. We'll see if we get another battle here in the next 3.5 minutes of this race. Again, don't forget we're back next Sunday for the Hungaro Ring as Season 3 continues of our PC ACC League at Box3 Motorsports. I'd encourage y'all to come on back and watch every bit of these guys drive. Most fun I have all week. Charlie Booth off into the grass, mowing again with that Porsche. Not going to help him close that gap. Big ups to all the drivers that stuck through this today. Wilson Fernandez, Artem Kudasov, Gasolina, John Gray, Charlie Booth, Chris McNichol, Retro Coffin, Armin Petrovics, and Brian Anderson, as well as TG, even if he's going to finish in the pits. He didn't leave. We take a look at Brian Anderson in his Lamborghini. And a Lamborghini up front as well. Brian Canopin continues to lead this race with 2.5 minutes left to go. Daniel Pickett now is back down just a tad. Again, that gap opening up to 3.8. And what I am watching here, and again, less than 2 minutes to go, so I don't see this happening, but only 2.8 seconds back to Wilson Fernandez right behind him. And Fernandez, a little bit faster last lap, right? By about, well, actually more than a second right there. You see 1.3. So does he have opportunity here to close in on Pickett and look for a podium? As I said, I don't think so. 2.5 second gap, 2.8 now. But Pickett still needs to maintain those lap paces if he's going to keep Fernandez at bay right until the end of this race. And that right there is not how to do it, but he did keep control. That gap now down to 1.5 seconds. As it looks like perhaps Tobias Gable has decided to come back out on track. Yeah, I'd say there were issues with the server today. As you can see, it's telling us that Arman Petrovic is down 15 laps when in fact he is on the same lap as everyone except Brian Canopin. Lap 33, Brian on lap 34. Tobias Gable decides to come back out and finish this race today. Good for him. As we see, though, Daniel Pickett, Wilson Fernandez, not that far back now. As we roll down, there it is, ladies and gentlemen. Brian Canopin, your winner at Kyalami today for our Pro Class Split. Last to first, well, almost. You get the point. Last to first run today. A lot of disappointments, especially for someone like Tobias Gable, now finishing in 13th because he stayed and stuck around. Petrovic finishing in 11th. as Remco Ottens crosses the line in second here at Kyalami, and Daniel Pickett third with Wilson Fernandez. Again, did a great job closing that gap here at the end. Artem Kudasov going to finish today in fifth with Gasolina right there behind him, taking up P6. Jump back though, John Gray looking to get across before Charlie Booth can catch him. And Chris McNichol and Retro Coffin rounding out your top 10 for today at Kyalami. Everybody, thank you so much for being here. I want to tell you that I appreciate y'all. I appreciate the drivers. Didn't want to let the bonus SA points go to waste. There you go. See, there's always something to be to win about. You got it. PG, thank you, man. I'm glad you stuck around. I'm gonna do something I normally don't do on this channel, but I want to throw out. Let's go watch another race. For those of you who want to stick around, Onid Racing is in ACC right now. They're doing their thing. Let's go throw a raid over there. Show some love to these guys. Don't forget, we're back here next Saturday for the Hungaro Ring for PC ACC, and and go to Trackalicious, twitch.tv/Trackalicious for next Saturday's 6-hour endurance race. We'll be back for iRacing as well in 2 weeks, hoping to broadcast that one. So everybody, thank you so much for being here. You guys are fantastic. The drivers are fantastic, and we will talk to you all very, very soon.